All right, welcome to the lane. Here for another episode. Not a whole lot planned today, but just wanted to kind of talk about, we've been planning marketing strategies and all kinds of stuff, trying to gain followers, and it just kind of led into a conversation of, what it's like to be a artist or a creative, and it's like to validate what you do, it requires the outside sources of fans, followers, whatever word you want to use, and just kind of the dynamic of that. Just kind of thought it'd be interesting to talk about.
Yeah, definitely.
For sure.
So I know today when we were all having a discussion in the group, I was kind of talking about that. Like I recently took some songs down out of stores that I had up previously. I had previously released them, and I took them down because I told the guys sometimes I'm feeling like even if they're good songs, I start to feel like maybe they're not hard enough, or I'm not getting that validation from people. I don't get the views, or I don't get the appreciation, the comments, the likes that I want to see on a song. So, a little time passes and I start to feel like, okay, maybe that's not good enough, or whatever. That's it's a toxic way to think, but unfortunately as artists, we're sensitive. Who said that in the song? Said I'm an artist, so I'm sensitive about my shit.
I can't remember, but I can like vaguely remember the line.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the dynamic of that, like to just use you as the example in that, is like, are those songs bad and do they need pulled down, or is it just not because of the lack of whatever push or whatever word you want to use to say to get it in front of other eyes? Is it the song is bad and it needs pulled because it's not getting traction, or is it not the song? Is it maybe the way that it's pushed, the way it's marketed?
Yeah, that could be a thing too. But another thing we talked about earlier is like organic growth versus strategy, paid ad growth type of things. So that's my thing, is I just wish I would see a little more organic growth. Or we talked about having our friends and family not necessarily pushing songs or pushing things, and I think that's something that all artists deal with. I don't want to focus and make it like all about me, but
no, I know.
I think that's something that a lot of artists deal with, and like I said, a lot of artists are sensitive and stuff. It's an art craft. Like it's just the same as if you draw a picture and 100 people walk past it and they don't say anything about it. You start to feel like, well,
yeah, maybe it's the art itself.
Yeah, maybe it's the art. Like maybe it's not good enough, or you know what I mean. So
yeah, I think there's a layer too of like what's it called? I should have looked it up before this. I think it's called like Imposter Syndrome or something.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, it just means that like, you have these days where you're on top of the world, like you're an artist, and then the other days it's like, oh, do I not? Am I not? Like, do I not have it? Am I? What am I? Am I faking this? And I think a lot of that comes hand in hand with music. I'm sure other mediums too, but I think it's an interesting. It's good and bad, but there's the dynamic of, even if you like your stuff, to become validated, to make money off it, it requires others to like it. So it's like an odd position that we are in to, I don't know how to phrase it, it's not like we're doing it, it's not like we want people to like it just so it grows. We want them to like it authentically. But then even when the people do like it, if it's not pushed enough, then it still makes you question, like, is it good enough? Because, those 36 people or whatever the number is love it, but it's only 37 people,
Right.
So it makes you question it. Did only 37 people see it and that's why it has those views? Or is it hundreds of people going, nah?
Right.
Yeah, and then like for me, it was like, kind of like a similar thing because, I put music out, you know what I'm saying? And I expected to be this thing that just happens. You know what I'm saying? But like I get like a couple hundred views over time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And to me, like that's a good thing, because at the end of the day, that's a couple hundred people that didn't before.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that logic. That's kind of like what I was saying to you about like removing
Mm.
catalog and should you or shouldn't you, and
Right.
the
But
obstacles
also
of that.
another factor that played into that is, I mean, it was multiple things, not just that, but
Right.
another thing is I feel like the group here is coming with some really quality stuff. And some of the releases that I already had up are like a year or like almost 2 years old now. So I
Yeah.
feel like we're progressing at such a rate that it's like, that's not like indicative now of who I am. You know what I'm saying? I almost wouldn't want people to like go listen to that and say they like catch some of those tracks and they're like, they might have been okay or they were good, but I would rather them hear something much better now.
Yeah, I mean, I get that logic too. But I mean, think of it like this. I mean, not that we're Lil Wayne. I'm not saying that, but just to use as a big artist as an example. If you found out that Lil Wayne had a song from fucking, I don't know, 1995 that was
Yeah.
recorded poorly or something,
Yeah.
you would want to hear it still. You would
Maybe.
want to at
I
least
mean,
check it out.
maybe.
You
There's
might not
that,
like it, but you might want to hear it.
Maybe.
Now, of
I
course, we're
guess.
not Lil Wayne. I'm just
Right,
using the
right.
example of like, I think even stuff that's not as good as you are now is still, it's like a time capsule. You know?
Yeah.
But I do
yeah.
understand the argument that you're saying too, where it's not a time capsule when there's only limited,
Yeah.
like there's 6 tracks or whatever, and then 3 of them you're like, nah, I kind of
Right.
want to cut those.
Which I mean, there's still, you can, if you dig deep enough and you know who I am, then
You'll find it.
You can find
Yeah.
certain
And we-
things. You know
and
what I
we
mean?
have it.
There's
Like, if the
old
world
music
wanted it.
and, yeah, if the world really wanted
Like,
it,
we
like
have
one day
it. Yeah.
we have it. But I just feel like I'm coming with some new stuff that's a little more matches like the quality of what everybody else is bringing. So I
Yeah.
just want to bring my catalog up to speed, so to speak.
Yeah.
But back to, touching on, you said something about, some days it's like this and some days you feel different. And that
Sure.
plays into, I know you wanted to kind of talk about the mental health aspect of it, but that plays into like, depression and stuff. That's something
yeah.
that I deal with all the time.
Same.
And I think a lot of people do. Maybe all of us here, I'm sure at one time or another have felt, pretty shitty or whatever, and you get to thinking a certain type of way that's not necessarily correct. And
Yeah, it's easy to like
Mhm.
question value.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
where you're like, should I even be doing this kind of thing?
right.
But then typically the good and bad of it, the bad is that those lows are like, they're tough.
They're tough, yeah.
They're tough.
Right.
But the
right.
good thing is when you circle back, meaning that like, okay, you're down this week or whatever, but then you create this song and then that lights the fire of like, oh no, like,
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
you know. But the problem is the up and down of
and
that.
And luckily for me, like depression and things like that play a part into it, and you know what I mean. And I think about my music and stuff, but luckily I've been able to, as an artist, kind of separate my outside life from my art. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If people aren't feeling my song, it makes me upset in this world. But
Right.
outside of that world, I still have a wife and a daughter and a son, and I'm
Yeah.
just still gonna be doing my thing. So I'm not like gonna kill myself over it. But
Right.
at the same time, it's something that I put a lot of time, years, effort, just like all of us into. And it's like, sometimes to see, not like I said, not the results that you want, it does upset you and get you thinking like, was this good enough? Like,
Yeah. I think pretty much any artist, unless you're like born into it, like literally like you're a child star, you probably have that thought like,
Constantly.
all the time. Yeah. Probably even when you make it, it's probably just a different type. Meaning like you're not worried about am I gonna make it, you're worried about am I gonna stay out like relevant,
And it's been, me and Seth, we really think alike, you know what I'm saying, when it comes to a lot of things. And, it's been times where, like he said, you be questioning yourself. You don't know if you know what I'm saying? You don't know if you're in the right place, doing the right thing. You know what I'm saying? It's been times that I done came to him because I was having a rough time in my life, and I was like, bro, I don't know if this music shit, what I'm supposed to be doing. You know what I mean? Like, am I supposed to stop this and go like be a family man and go do something else with my life that's like not this, and people take me serious? You know what I'm saying? Or do I keep pushing, trying to do this, and then it's like I'm hitting a brick wall every trip.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's where it kind of get like, so, you know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. I see where you coming from when it get like frustrating for you to be like, you know what I'm saying? I got all this music I'm sitting on. Don't nobody know what it is. By the time I put it out, I got way more new music. Don't nobody know what it is.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like a thing up here where, you really gotta like buckle down and like I know this sounds crazy, but you have to tell yourself like it's cool. I'm
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
We're moving forward. We're progressing. You gotta keep positive. You gotta literally tell yourself that shit. Like remember when I used to tell you I used to be riding my bike and shit up that fucking hill? Like I would literally be yelling at myself. I wouldn't care who the fuck was around me. Nothing. Like go up the fucking hill. Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't stop.
Yeah.
Cause bruh, I was tired as hell. My legs would be burning like a motherfucker. It was like literally a 5-mile ride, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
And then the last quarter mile was uphill.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
See, I
It
just
hurts.
picture moments that, you know, like because we are all very work forward, like try push. I mean, when any form of success in any size, like would come from it, I feel like those are the moments that we think about.
Right.
The days where you're like, I pulled these 2 songs, or the day that you're like, I had to fucking ride a bike up a hill because
Hell yeah.
money wasn't right, or
Right.
you know, I think that the payoff is huge, but you know, I just thought it'd be interesting to talk about this because, I think that a lot of artists, I won't name names, but I know some personally that they don't want you to know that they're not getting views.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like they post things, and whether it's like their Spotify artist page at the end of the year or whatever, that shows stats, they'll show like whatever the top stat is that isn't view count because it still kind of looks good.
Yeah.
Or they'll just show pictures from it and what they listen to, not who listened to them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'm not hating that. I think you can make an argument for like audience perception, but I think I don't know. I've always been very like open about, I want people to know like it's difficult to get views and that it's not as simple as like, oh, you just make a song and you become somebody, you know? It's like, it's you make 1 million songs and, you know, 999,000 of those songs are like overlooked. And
Yeah.
Like even if you look at like artists who are established and like well known, when you go backwards, you know what I'm saying? Like don't look at right now.
Yeah.
You start right now and then go backwards. If you look at everything that most people have, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like well-established artists, there's so much shit that they have out. And you're like, damn, I didn't even know this existed. Who was this person back then? Like, why wasn't I listening to this?
Right, yeah.
Because it's still the same music, still the same person.
Yeah.
You just had no idea who they were.
Yeah, it was just
And with that too, like it gets even deeper to the point where with very well established artists, at least, you know, they've got a label behind them or whatever, and that label's they on each album they probably wrote 20, 30 songs, and the label said yes to these 8 to 10.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
So it's like it's kind of hard to even compare to that because it's like those were the top 10, and out of those, maybe only 1 or 2 of them was like what
pushed and
what brought people to them.
Yeah. And then what's weird about that too is that's a whole other dynamic that we don't have to deal with. But you know, record labels do all kinds of stuff where like you're dealing with all the things we just said because they're an artist too. But then also the record deal says you owe me this many albums. Then you deliver them an album, they go, no, that's a mixtape, so we'll put that out. But that doesn't count as an album though.
Right.
So you're still under contract. Or like what he just said, I wrote these songs. These are 2 albums. And they go, yeah, but these 12 songs aren't gonna fly. So you're like, okay. So then you're stripping like the creative element of it. And if that person is shelved at the time, they're not putting out music. Their record label's shutting their stuff down. They can't put anything out, and you're losing like being relevant. I feel like that's got to be even worse.
Yeah.
Because then you're contractually and financially obligated to keep doing what the label says, but you can see it hurting like your product. I'll call it, you know, or your brand.
I mean, but I would say right now, and for a lot of artists at and below our level, those are kind of good problems to have. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would love to be sitting down with a label and knowing I'm making some money at least. And
Me
they're
too,
saying, hey, these
but-
12 songs, we don't know, but I mean, I'm still getting that fucking check. So
Yeah, I mean, but yes, but no. Like, yes, I agree, and I think that if a label's looking at you, you at least have something, and
right, you got something.
It's something.
Yeah.
But you know, label money has to get paid back.
Right.
So like they're not just
Right.
paying you. So
Right.
every dollar you take from them, you're still like, okay, well, can we please put something out because I don't have any money to
Right,
pay
'cause it's all in
you.
advance.
And,
Right.
Yeah.
and at
That's
this
one
point
thing.
too, there's no money to be made, even on an
Right.
independent level from streams or whatever. Like take the biggest, let's say Billie Eilish, right?
Right.
Any of those streams, yeah, she's making money off of it,
Yeah,
but
she's getting tons
she's
of
not getting
streams.
all of that.
Right.
And on top of that, most of that is going to the record label.
Yeah.
So
Right.
like
Right.
basically the only money that these artists are making when they sign to something like that is off of live shows and merch. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And now because of that, record labels are bringing in like, okay, we're gonna do a 3-way deal, so we're gonna get a cut of all your live, your in studio stuff, and all this, but we'll pay for that.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
like this was a big thing with Lil Yachty a couple years ago. I don't know if you guys ever saw it, but I don't know if it was a Breakfast Club.
Yeah. You talking about when Joe Budden called him out?
Was it Joe Budden? I thought it was Charlemagne. Maybe it was Joe Budden. I can't remember.
I just seen it. We was just watching.
Yeah,
it.
we was
this
just
is from
watching
like
it.
years ago, and it was when Yachty like just like he was
Yeah.
brand new.
And he called him out for having like a 360 deal
Yeah.
and shit.
Well,
it was
well,
Joe
what
Budden.
happened was he asked about if it was a 360.
Charlemagne might have done it too. He's
And
that same type of
Yachty,
motherfucker.
his response
Yeah, he
was,
was like,
"I don't
"Calm
know."
down."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Lil Yachty didn't know, like if he was in a 360.
Yeah, he had no idea.
Yeah, which I'm sure Little Yachty does now. Like I'm sure he knows
I
all
hope
the
he
business.
does. Jesus.
Um,
But that's a good segue though into another kind of next topic or whatever that I wanted to talk about was I told you earlier. Me and Dave got into the discussion the other day of excuse me real quick.
While he drinks from that Mystery Lane mug.
You could get your Mystery Lane mug at themysterylane.com, as well as tons of other cool stuff like shirts, stickers, and any other merch. Just let us know what you want. We can make just about anything.
Do you have liquids? Do you want to drink them? MysteryLane.com. Get the mug.
Get the mug. How much
Anyway.
is the mug?
$20, I think.
$20 mug. But this is a sturdy mug.
I'm actually.
This
I'm
is
not
not
just
no cheap
saying this
quality
to sell
mug.
it. I'm really happy with the print on it,
Hey,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's really nice.
and it
It's
looks
the
good.
wave.
It's really nice.
But what were you gonna say?
So me and Dave were just talking about. I think we were actually talking about LeBron James. Shout out LeBron. You know he's from the city.
Never heard of him.
Never heard of that guy. Oh, okay.
So how I look ball I never.
Anyways, but no disrespect to LeBron. That's what I started the conversation with between me and Dave. He does a lot for the city. He
Well,
gives
yeah,
back to the
he's-
kids. He's got the I Promise school, the I Promise program. He gives away bikes and books and school supplies and all kinds of stuff. He does great stuff.
Yeah.
But I was just making the point that if I was that rich, I'm not saying he has to do this or I hold him accountable, but I would also invest into other things in the city,
Like what?
such as like the homeless problem. We got a terrible one here.
Mhm.
There's homeless people everywhere.
Mhm.
And me and Dave got in the discussion like, well, how do you help them? Like there's already the place, it's called the Haven of Rest here in Akron.
Yeah.
That's like a source
shelter.
for it's a
Yeah.
shelter for, homeless people to go. But they don't want to go there because there's, sets of rules and things like
Yeah.
that. Like you can't be doing certain stuff. You got to be in by a certain time. It's, kind of like you're at mom and dad's house.
Right.
Mhm.
Or like
And-
on probation or something.
Yeah. And, a lot of people would rather live on the streets. So I brought up the point, like, what if I was rich enough, build like a big, nice, like hotel, and all these people stay in it. But how long before it just turns into like a dumpy
Well, that's what would happen. Yeah.
hotel,
Yeah. That's why
So
the rules
then-
are in place, and then
Exactly. So then we talked about like we would have to make some kind of program, but it's gotta like, it's to help these people so they're not living that type of way,
yeah,
and they want to make it
Yeah.
up and out. But
that's a big problem in California. The
Yeah.
homeless
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a problem
Skid Row.
everywhere, but it's a
Yeah.
it's a big
Yeah.
big problem there.
and then I said also I would like to do something with kids, like as many kids are as in the I Promise program or whatever
Yeah.
it is, and there's other programs in the city too. Like there's tons of kids, and I know for a fact of like just being around the city that some kids got it really fucked up. So
Mhm.
Yeah, I've talked about this before, but I mean, I'm not saying this would help them in life, like in the way that you're saying, but I think it'd be cool to create a program to like teach kids what we do, not necessarily what we at
But
this
that-
table do,
Right.
but the idea that you can just do creative shit. Because like
Yeah.
if I would have started much younger, I'd be much farther.
But that will help them in life because
It would, yeah.
because then they're gonna know that there's an alternative to out there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because when you're out there, you out there.
Yeah,
And
it
that's what
also
it is.
teaches them skills of like
Right.
learning something, and then you have to teach yourself something.
Like an outreach
Right.
program.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's like those are big things, like helping homeless people, helping kids. Like those are big and broad things. But what I was getting at is just basically helping people that need the help, and that leads me into you guys were just talking about some things there that, like, when I was younger as a musician, like that's one of my dreams too, is like if I make it to any sort of level, maybe I'm at that level now because I'm speaking to you right now, but
Technically, yeah.
I want to share some knowledge, because when I was young and coming up, being 15 and trying to get my first show, I didn't know, what to do. I didn't know anything about a 360 deal or what a label was all about, or
Right.
just all kinds of sorts of things that, like, now it's like common knowledge to me, like so much so that, like, I can't even think of good examples, but I literally knew nothing back then. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's just cool to kick that knowledge for like a young person that might be watching this and thinking like, damn, like, because I know if I was 15, like I'd be looking at us like, man, those dudes they're older, they got it
Right,
going,
they're
like,
doing it,
like
right.
they're doing it. That's what I want to be.
Yeah, and I would
day.
also at a younger age, I would also think that like, oh, I could do that.
Right.
Like, and then I don't know. I think it'd be cool.
You absolutely can. Anybody
yeah.
can do it. I mean, it takes money and time and effort, but
Yeah, it's a lot of dedication, and that goes across the board. Like dedicating time, dedicating money, dedicating free time.
yeah,
I mean, it's kind of a stereotype in songs nowadays, but I mean, it's 100% true. It's like you're making music, other people are out making like memories or going to parties.
right.
You're making music. Like,
Yeah.
that's kind of
Yeah,
the trade-off. Luckily for me, that's what I prefer. Like I'm not a social person, but a lot of people are,
yeah. I mean, that's real shit.
Yeah.
To kind of tie that back to what we started with. It's like you said, it is a lot of dedication and time and all that. And part of that kind of plays into that sort of like mentality that you have sometimes, where it's like, like I know when I was putting out Could Have Been, it was the first single I've ever done. I was putting it out like for real this time, and I'm like, I was procrastinating on it because I would hear it and be like, I don't really think that this is worth anything.
Yeah.
But what's weird is when we were in here recording it, we were on a high.
Oh,
we
yeah.
were like going nuts. We're like, this is the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
And then you get into
And
that
for the
mind
record,
state.
it is. Go listen to it.
I think it's great,
It's
dude.
dope.
I think it's
Hell
great.
yeah.
I'm so happy he's out here.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And it's and I found myself in that too, where it's like, I'm putting all this time in and we're doing all this stuff, but like, is anyone gonna care? And so then it kind of comes back to that, where it's like, even though it does take that dedication and whatever, if it's something that you love doing and you think it's worth it, it doesn't matter if no one sees it. Like if it's helping you, or if it's making you feel good about yourself, or whatever, if it's something you enjoy doing, then it's worth it, even with no one seeing it.
Yeah, could you guys imagine like what would I even do? Like I do so much like music and beats and videos. Like what would I even do with all the time?
If you weren't doing that,
Yeah, like
Playing video games.
probably,
yeah.
which I still do that too. Like
Right.
He doesn't miss his video game time.
no way, I'm a big boy. I get to decide when I play video games and when I have dessert.
Sidebar, I just
Big
got me
boy.
a Super Nintendo the other day. Got some Donkey Kong Country,
Hell yeah.
Super Mario.
Did you get the Lion King game?
No.
You played it though, right? Like as a kid?
Well, yeah, absolutely. But here's the funny thing is actually I had that game remastered along with Aladdin for PS4. And I actually traded that for some of the
that's
some
funny.
of the Super Nintendo
That's funny.
stuff. And funnily, is that a word? Funnily.
That sounds like funnel. Like
I traded Spider-Man, the first one, for PS4 for you ever played Separation Anxiety for Super Nintendo?
no,
It's like a beat 'em up where you can be Spider-Man and Venom.
I would play that for sure.
Yeah,
I
it's
played
dope.
I played on
It's
Sega.
hard as fuck.
I would play.
hard as
I mean,
fuck.
dude, almost all games on Nintendo. Well,
Like hard.
not
as
all. Like
fuck,
Mario
man.
and Donkey Kong. Those are.
Dave seen me running to Mario, bro. I was doing some amazing
Hey,
shit.
yo.
Like,
Dude, I'm pretty good.
Hey, hold up, dog.
I was doing some
Listen,
wild shit.
bro, I used to play Mario when I was a kid. I thought I was the man.
And then you saw a grown man play.
Yeah, dog, this motherfucker, bro.
I don't
He
know.
was doing some crazy shit that I ain't never seen. Like I swear, he ran through this level so fast it wasn't even funny. It was like 17 seconds, maybe less than that.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know I don't know who. I guess it's an opinion, like a Coke versus Pepsi.
Yeah.
But Sonic 2, I can speedrun that game in a couple hours, like the entire game.
See, now we're on a whole nother
Bum,
conversation.
Good.
bum, bum.
Sonic 2 is so good that I reference
Sonic
the
2,
soundtrack
man.
sometimes.
I love Sonic, but I was never like big on Sonic growing up. Like
I
that
like
was something
both
I found
Mario and
later with my
Sonic.
kids.
Mhm.
Like my kids like Sonic, so I was like,
Yeah.
okay, we'll get down with. And my wife did too. She was like, she kind of grew up
Yeah.
Sega. Sega was in her household,
Yeah, same.
and Super Nintendo was in mine. So
Yeah, see, I'd
know.
play Sega at my house, and then my friends would have Nintendos. So I
Yeah.
kind of did a little bit of both. Like I played a lot of Contra on
okay,
Nintendo.
okay.
But on Sega, which this is on both. But do you guys
They
remember?
just dropped a new Contra, didn't it?
It's coming, yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
Ooh.
But do you guys remember? I actually want them to make another one of these. Do you guys remember Clay Fighters?
Oh yeah,
Dude.
absolutely.
Clay Fighters was so good.
That's a dope.
That is
that's
so
a dope
good.
game too. Yeah,
They should, why don't they? They
I
should.
need to get that.
They should make that again.
The thing that sucks is like we're living in the wave right now of like, well,
It's expensive.
It's like it's already been going for years now, but
Yeah.
like it's like expensive to get these games. I paid $45 a piece for Mario and Donkey Kong.
How about this? You ready for this?
Oh,
So, I don't know. It would have been like 2013 or something. Kevin and I, no pics, and I were living in Louisville, and we were collecting them all. Like some were from my childhood, and some we bought.
Yeah,
but
I wish I would. Oh my god, I had so many. I had like
Dude,
all of them.
I had my original Sega Genesis with the 32X cartridge add-on.
Oh my
like
God.
until like 2015. I sold it in
Oh,
2015.
nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, Randy's got one of those.
But anyway, with 64, there's a list of games that we wanted to get. So like we went to the exchange, and do you guys know what Conker's Bad Fur Day is?
Yeah.
If you don't know, it's like a Nintendo 64 game that's like you're a little squirrel like character. I think you are a squirrel actually. Now I think about it,
Yeah, I think
but
so.
but it's very crude humor. Like you're like
Oh,
pissing
yeah,
on
yeah.
stuff and like all kinds
Oh.
of stuff. And they're actually owned by that IP is owned by Xbox now. But
So 64 was like late 90s when everything was like that was just the nature of the beast. Everything was like crude. And
yeah,
rude
Clay
and
Fighters
crazy.
is the
Yeah,
same
like-
thing. Celebrity Deathmatch game on 64.
Yeah, everything was.
But
that way.
anyway, this not Clay Fighters, this Conker's Bad Fur Day game, we wanted to go get it, so we bought it, and it was like $80 at the exchange.
Yeah, yeah.
Open box, $80.
No
Yeah.
way.
But
Oh,
what we
yeah.
did is we bought it, and then a couple of days later, after we were done playing it, we just returned it.
Mhm.
Oh
and
yeah,
then-
yeah.
It's like they just held my $80 for a couple of days.
I grew up like a block away from a video time, and I used to
Oh,
run
yeah.
down there and I would rent video games. This is when I was like I had like, so I went from Super Nintendo to PlayStation 1, PlayStation
Right,
2.
PlayStation 2, yeah.
But it was like PlayStation 1 era. I would like run down there and rent video games like and play them for like like an hour or like a couple hours, and then
Mm-hmm.
I like hurry up and run back down there. I'd be like, I didn't like this one. I'm like a little kid though.
Yeah.
I'm like by myself, and I'm like, I didn't really like it. Like, can you?
They're like,
Can I
you
just
got
take
a
another
parent?
one? And like the dude that worked there, he was like probably like our age or younger, like than we are now, and he was always just super cool about it. He's like, yeah, dude, just go get another
Maybe
one.
we should do that for an episode. Maybe we should have like a vintage, like we play vintage games against each other.
Yeah, that would be dope.
I'd be into that.
But no, you said you speed ran
Sonic 2.
Sonic 2. Have
Yeah.
you ever speed ran a game?
I've also done it with Aladdin, the Sega Aladdin
Aladdin.
game.
I'm trying to
Yeah,
think.
dude,
Like Disney?
Yeah, and now I know. Now listen.
Think what I speed ran.
I know that sounds funny to say an Aladdin game, but dude, the Aladdin Sega game, I think it was on Nintendo as well.
Raw.
Dude, it's so good.
Bro.
It's so crazy how good it is.
Yeah. What about you, Mike? You ever speed ran a video game?
Yeah, actually. It was on 360.
I was
Can't
gonna ask.
remember which
Nice system,
which
legendary system.
Yeah.
it was one of the
Right up there
like,
with the PS2, man. Like,
Oh,
I
you
feel
know
like
what?
PS2 and 360 are
Well, they're
like
the same. They're the same generation.
generation, but
I've
that's like
speed
just
ran.
legendary.
I've speed ran fucking Spyro before.
Okay.
Like
yeah.
Crash Bandicoot.
That's probably
you know what I'm
tough.
saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What game
Yeah.
were you gonna
Crash
say-
is hard,
what
man.
game were you
It
gonna
is
say?
hard.
Andre?
It was not a one that you would do that with. But it was I've done it twice. I did it with Black Ops 2.
Okay.
Like
Oh,
campaign.
Yeah. And then the
I played that all in one day.
Yeah.
Like literally
That's how it
like a
was
couple
with Halo
hours.
3, yeah.
Yeah, I
think
mean,
it-
that's kind of what a speed run is. I mean, speed run is really when you
It's-
just try to.
You're just trying to
as
cook
fast
it.
as you
Yeah,
can.
Right.
Well, I
but-
did
You're
that
not
with
setting records.
Yeah.
Arkham Asylum too.
Oh, that's
where
a
I
good
tried
game,
to,
too.
I would go through the
Oh,
main
yeah.
Love that.
like
Yeah.
the main checkpoints, but then I'd try to get all of the other like side missions done
Right.
too.
Do any of you guys like Metal Gear at all?
Oh yeah, I used to
no,
play that back in the
Yeah,
day.
so
fan.
Metal Gear 2, multiple times in my life, I have
Mhm.
beat it in a single day. Recently,
wow.
in the last year or two, I did it. But like I did it at, like when I was a kid, I would beat the game, and then
Mhm.
as you beat it multiple times, you just
Yeah.
know it.
See, for me, it's the Resident Evil games. Like I've beat all of those multiple times.
I've
and
played
I
a lot of
can-
them, but I couldn't speed run them. No way.
Yeah, I could speed run 2 and 4, 1, 2, and 4, and 5. 5 is probably my fastest one actually. But yeah, I'm talking about like sit down for like 2.5 hours and play
Right,
the whole
just
game.
run it. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Mhm.
Streets of Rage is another.
Oh yeah.
Like I can run that. That's another game though that like Battletoads and
oh, yeah,
Streets of
Teenage
Rage.
Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Ninja Turtles, yeah.
Boom.
Turtles in
Those
Time.
all
that's the one
three
I
of
need to
those
get to.
games are good examples of what
It's
I
like
was gonna say.
$80.
Which yeah, that's fucking crazy. Just get an emulator, but it's not the
Yeah.
same. But
Yeah,
it
it's not
you
the
know
same.
yeah. But what's crazy about those three games is all three of them like playing them. Then you're just like this game's dope. I'm playing it. Sweet.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Playing it now is like I was such a badass at 7 years old, dude, because I can't beat this game right now. Like
Yeah.
it's so hard.
Hell yeah.
I bought the Justice League game for Super Nintendo. Can't even get past the first
Have you ever
fight.
played the X-Men
Like-
game? That was on Nintendo and Sega, and you could play.
X-Men Apocalypse?
I think it was just called X-Men. Maybe it was called Apocalypse, but it was like side-scroll, normal Sega Nintendo stuff.
Yeah, and you could
but you
be
play
like,
as Nightcrawler, Cyclops, Wolverine, and
Beast.
Gambit.
Oh.
Gambit, yeah.
I think it was Gambit.
Was that the one Colossus was on too? Or no?
I don't think Colossus was
That
on
might
it.
have been the
That's a
arcade.
later one.
But
I wish I had my laptop. I'd look it
I
up.
know
I
what you're
wanna-
talking about though.
That
'cause
game is
yeah.
also tough. Even as a kid, I don't know
Yeah.
if I made it halfway, quarter
Yeah.
through the game. Like I can picture 2 levels.
That's what
Oh,
I'm saying.
bro,
It's
I
tough.
had the worst luck. I remember it was for 360 too. I had man, I think it was either Modern Warfare 2 or 3. I want to say it was 3. But there was apparently a batch, a pretty large batch of those games that went out for 360 that had a glitch in them.
Mm.
And it was a real bad one. So you'd get like, you know, almost done with the campaign. You'd get like maybe 3/4 of the way through. And you'd go on this mission where you just like kicked ass, and then you're going in, you and like 2 other characters get into a Humvee and you're driving off, and they're like, well, you should get some sleep on the drive there because it's going to take a while. So the screen like goes black and you just hear like the Humvee driving in the background or whatever. And then, I'm sitting there and I'm like, wow, this guy's been asleep a while. And I'm like, it's been a couple minutes. I'm like, it's not going to continue without me like continuing it. So I try it and I'm like,
He's
yeah,
just
maybe there's
waiting.
like a timer or something.
He's like, maybe it's a real time
So I-
sleep. I have to sleep for 8 hours.
I'm not even kidding you. I was like, I don't know, maybe it's like something weird going on. But the thing is, the sounds were still like, it wasn't like you would hear it loop. It was
Right.
like a
It's
randomized
still-
thing, right?
yeah.
So I'm like, maybe it's just like gonna take a couple minutes. Maybe it's
Yeah.
like skipping or whatever. So I go and like eat lunch, whatever. The TV's still running.
lunch,
Yeah.
came back.
I come
guess-
back
I guess
and it's
still
still
going.
not running, and I'm like,
Wow.
what is going on?
This
So I'm
dude-
like,
That's
I guess I'll leave
dedication,
it for
bro.
a little
Yeah,
bit
for
longer.
real.
Oh.
I left it sit for 4 hours in total.
Oh my
Oh my
god.
God.
And it
So
never
you quit
went.
halfway through the sleep, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was like,
you needed 4
You
more
needed
hours.
the 4 more hours.
and
Yeah.
I was
Yeah,
like,
dude.
wow, this is
Like,
stupid.
wow.
And I'm like, this has to like.
What
This
if that
has
was
to be a
really
thing.
it though? Like, what if that was for real? a
Hey,
thing?
yeah, I'm weak.
I just saw a video today. You reminded me of it. It was like a thing about Super Nintendo games or something, but it was like a video talking about how this like video game magazine back in the day like lied about this like secret unlockable thing in some
okay.
game,
Yeah.
and like it was like a April Fool's thing, but like it was like so stupid what you had to do, like get like 10 perfect victories and like do all these crazy things. I know there's a Mortal Kombat thing like that.
Yeah, well, what's cool, I was just gonna say when you were like, what if you really did have the 8 hours?
Yeah.
A lot of older games actually had little dumb things like, it's not comparable to watching a dude sleep for 8 hours, but like in Metal Gear 1, there's a bad guy you fight named Mantis, I think.
Mantis.
And
Mantis Toboggan?
His
Wow, is that his name?
MD.
No, but his whole thing though, his whole thing is that he's like a psychic character who can move stuff with his mind too.
Oh yeah, that's definitely how he talked then.
So he actually wore a gas mask and stuff, so he sounded
like Bang.
He sounded like
kinda. Yeah, kinda. But because the whole thing was like he's in your mind, to beat him, you had to switch. It was like, I think you had to switch you pull your controller out of port 1 and put it in port 2.
Oh.
It was something like that. Or maybe it was memory card slot 1 to slot 2.
Okay.
But that you could not beat him unless you did that.
That's fucking crazy.
And that was like hidden in the book.
That's fucking crazy.
It's like the thing with the Emperor's New Groove. There's a level where you ride
I've
a roller
never played that
coaster.
game. Is that good?
I love the movie. I never played a game
Yeah,
either.
same.
There's a level where you are on a roller coaster and you have to hold the controller regular.
Mm-hmm.
Then you spin around on the roller coaster and they don't tell you. There's nothing.
Yeah.
You have to flip the controller around.
It's like everything's
backwards.
just reversed.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I've
What the
never
fuck?
seen a game for that movie.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it
I
doesn't
probably
surprise
have.
me
It's dope.
because
Yeah, they
kids-
used to make property those properties in the games.
Bro,
that's
if-
cool though.
If we're gonna talk about like a legendary game though, and granted you could get it now for like any of the consoles, but it's not the same.
Okay.
Battlefront 2
Yeah, Battlefront 2
on the
is
PC,
pretty solid.
and like
I'm not
like
not
the
hip to the
first
Battlefront like games
Now-
right
now let me
first
ask you.
edition of it was dope.
Well, I gotta ask you an important question. I think I understand what you're saying, but there's 2 Battlefront 2s.
Mm-hmm.
One is the one that was on like PSP and stuff back in the day. That was like very popular. It was the biggest like PSP game.
That was Battlefront 2.
Yes.
Bam.
And then there's Battlefront 2, like now,
Oh yeah,
that came out in the last like.
that was Battlefront 2.
Exactly.
Well, because they must have
that was
remastered
Battlefront
it or
2
something.
too.
Because
Yeah.
they're like
That was Battlefront
I've seen people
2.
playing Battlefront 2 now on like a PS4.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's
Like
that would
not
be the
that
newer one.
They should have named that one Battlefront also.
Yes, yes.
Well, that's the thing. Like it's the same game, but it's different. Like
It
it's
is
just,
totally different. Yeah. I mean, technically it's
Different but same.
better because it's like modernized
Yeah.
and stuff.
Well,
but
see, I didn't have it for PSP. I had it for PC.
okay.
But it was like when you'd go to the store and you'd buy it looked like a VHS, and it had like the physical disc that you had to install on the computer
yeah,
and all
yeah,
that.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
Um,
I still have
loved
games like
playing
that.
that.
I don't think I've ever really played a computer game in my life. Like,
Yeah.
Like maybe I went to my cousin's house and like
Well-
played some didn't they have like a Sims roller coaster thing
Yeah,
game back in
yeah,
the day?
and Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Yeah,
and stuff
Roller
like
Coaster
that.
Tycoon. Yeah, I
But
might have
see-
played that, but
Yeah, see,
I ain't never played no computer games.
a lot of friends I have.
Dude said Roller Coaster Tycoon. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oregon Trail.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I used to play that at school. for
Dying
hours.
from dysentery.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. Speaking of school, so at my high school, we had like, if you had a study hall period, you could do one of two things. It was always in like the cafeteria. So you could either sit there, but you weren't allowed to like talk or do it. Like you just had to be quiet. Or you could go to the library, which you'd think would be even more quiet.
Computers,
but not
though.
really.
Oh, it's
the
going,
computers
eh?
were there.
Yeah.
So I would go down there every day. Me and my buddy Tom. Shout out Tom.
Hi, Tom.
He's like, me and Tom would sneak in the library and type in Pornhub.
Pornhub would not have existed, I don't think.
And we would pull up. It was
Well, maybe he's young.
Someone
I don't know. Yeah.
He just graduated like two years ago.
It was 2017. Thank you. But there was there was a website we used to go to, and I can't remember what it was called. It wasn't the Cool Math Games thing. It was another website, but
Cool math games. Damn, that was a
Yeah.
throwback.
Yeah.
but like it was the
Mini
same idea.
clips.
It was wait, what was it?
Mini clips.
Mini.
I don't know what that is.
I used to go to this site called
Miniclips.com.
1984
I know what that
Games.
is, but it wasn't that.
I got one. Newgrounds. You guys remember Newgrounds?
No.
Oh my god, that had
I
game.
want to say the thing I'm talking about had the name or had Eagle in the name, but I might be
Interesting.
wrong. But either way, it was just a list of like, it may have even just been called A to Z games because
Okay.
it was like a whole list of just random computer games, right?
Okay.
There was a game on there and I can't remember what it was called. It may have just literally been called Stickman. But people have said I've said that before, and people are like, "No, you're talking about something else."
I think I know what you're talking about.
Talking about
Explain
Stick
it.
RPG.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Stick
I used to
RPG.
play that game every day.
Dude,
Yeah.
and like you'd go around and you'd buy like cigarettes, and then you'd
Yeah,
get on
you
the
buy
train,
others,
and then
so
it'd
you
be
get
like, "Sorry, you
massive
died."
stuff.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
like start buying
Dude.
cocaine. It was like Grand Theft Auto, but
Yeah,
Stickman.
Dude, I'm telling you,
Oh.
I don't know 100%, but I bet you that was on Newgrounds. Like Newgrounds, it is early internet,
Mm-hmm.
but that is like tons of funny, famous videos came from there. Tons of funny games. I played a game that was like not funny. I mean, it was funny, but not in the way that I'm gonna say the other game is. But there was a game I'd play on there that was like Santa Bowling, but like it was very adult humor, and the elves were like
Okay.
the pit crew or whatever of like
Yeah.
cleaning everything up, and it was really funny. But then there was also games on there that I should not have been playing at 10 years old.
Oh, wow.
With it would be like side by side pictures, and it's like true or false, but you're answering pussy or meat,
Oh,
and it's like zoomed in shots of vaginas
Well,
or
you don't
meat.
touch meat.
what
so.
type
Yeah,
of
you don't
shit
touch
was
raw
you
meat.
on?
I don't know. It's just on the website. I'm a kid. I don't know.
Oh, he said it was just on a website. I'm a kid. I don't know.
I don't know, I mean, shit.
Fuck it.
I can't be to blame. I mean, hey.
Fuck it. We was just
I mean, I'm not
playing-
saying I didn't play the
games,
game. I
man.
definitely played that game, but I'm just saying.
I mean, who didn't pick up a hooker on Grand Theft Auto and
kill him right
Or
after
go
you
to
get
the
your
strip
money?
club
and try to
Yeah.
turn the camera around and see what the fuck was going on in the car?
Here's a real question. Here's a real conspiracy with Grand Theft Auto that I want answered from Rockstar.
Let's answer it.
Okay, so
You said Rockstar.
that's okay. If you have an answer for this, I still want to hear it. So how
I'm gonna
come
try.
you pay
I'm
the
gonna
prostitute,
Yeah.
okay,
Mm-hmm.
and then you kill her, get your money,
Yeah.
but it's half of the money?
Yeah. It's
What
half the
happened to the other half of the money
It went
between
to the
you?
funeral cost.
money? No, it
They take it out
automatically-
instant.
The pimp gets his cut.
In between, you have
Yeah.
like you.
It's automatic.
You can't short the pimp.
I realize, but you would think that there would be an interaction where the
Interaction
pimp
with the
collects.
pimp, yeah.
There's none of that. She gets out of the car. You run her over with the car. Now,
Well,
where'd the
sounds
money
like-
go?
Sounds like you've done this a lot.
A couple times on a couple GTAs,
sound
I've
like
done
you
this
done
a
this a
few
lot.
times.
Hell yeah.
What's the best Grand Theft Auto game, barring the newest one? Because I mean, that's obviously probably.
Okay,
the
I was gonna
best
say. I mean 5 because of
Five, yeah.
yeah, but 3.
one. 3.
Liberty Cities.
3.
like
What are you gonna say?
five.
San Andreas.
No, honestly, I think maybe
Vice City
was
is
my
3.
favorite.
It's like
No, it's not.
It's not, but it is, meaning that like it's the same game just in Miami. Like what I
Okay,
mean
I
by
see
that
what you're
is
saying.
it's
I
like
see what you're
it's
saying.
like DLC today.
But who was the dude in 3? What was his name?
I don't know, to be honest.
Yeah,
I don't know his
exactly.
name.
Tommy Vercetti.
I
though.
literally don't know-
We all know Tommy Vercetti.
I didn't.
Oh, okay.
Hey,
Yeah.
I'm Tommy Vercetti. What you gonna do
Yeah,
about
what
it?
do about it?
But they're all good. You know what was in 4
Actually,
that I
4 was
liked a
good.
lot?
Nico was good.
Yeah, Nico was dope.
Wait,
What-
which one was 4?
Nico was
4 is
definitely
Nico.
dope.
He plays a Russian.
Yeah, Tony.
Yeah.
What? Where does it take place at?
New York.
Liberty City,
Or-
New York.
Yeah, Liberty City.
I mean, it's
Huh,
New York is
right,
the
maybe-
maybe. Dude, it's
Which
hilarious.
what one does? Where does 5 take place?
in like San
California.
Andreas, basically.
yeah,
Yeah,
San
San
Andreas. It's
California.
Los Santos.
Yeah, Los Santos.
Okay, maybe. Yeah, I think
But it's
5
Los
might be
Angeles.
my favorite then.
Yeah, 5's the.
Yeah, I mean that's
No.
the pinnacle right now. I
But-
mean,
Yeah, it's just the
until
one.
the
But
next
four,
one.
four had a feature that I wish 5 still had, which is if you were driving, you're Nico, you're driving, you slam into a pole, and you go through the windshield.
Oh yeah.
Oh, dude, there used to be this
just
game,
hilarious.
at least
Yeah.
for PS2. I don't know if it ever
Yeah.
went past that. I couldn't even begin to tell you the name. But there was this game where it was like, it was sort of, it wasn't really a racing game, but it was like a car game, right? And it would be like, you had this goal where it would be like a course in front of you, and you would have to get across, the course. The thing is if you didn't land right or something, it would like throw you through the windshield,
Oh,
and
shit.
like the whole thing.
Are you
was,
talking about the Stuntman series, like the Stuntman games?
It might have been.
Are you
That
hitting like
sounds right.
specific jumps and stuff that you
Yes.
have to like? You have
That's
to
probably
land this
Stuntman.
jump.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's probably Stuntman. I don't know for sure, but it probably is.
That's dope. Yeah, that was a good.
It was a good franchise. Like
That was a good. Yeah.
yeah.
I used to be super into the Halo stuff, but then I kind of fell out of
See,
it.
I wasn't a Halo
All right,
guy
so
either.
you guys are really teeing me up. You guys are really teeing me up right now.
You're a Halo nerd.
I'm like
you're
the Halo guy.
I forgot you do got like
And
Halo statues and shit.
Yes.
Yeah.
This year, at the end of this
you a
year,
Halo bitch.
the new Halo is coming out.
Which one are they on?
It's Infinite, which is after 5. But this is the okay. So
I don't think I ever played 5. 5
Don't.
must be recent, right?
it's in the last few years, but don't worry about it.
Because there was Reach, and
Yeah.
then
It goes 1, 2, 3,
Reach 4.
4.
Okay, so
5.
4 was the last one I played
Yeah.
then. Because
So-
it was not with the Covenant, right?
Well, yeah. So the okay. So here's what happened. As far as like, I know you're talking about the enemy types, but
Yeah.
as far as like why I'm excited for this new one is because 1, 2, and 3 are like the pinnacle.
Mhm.
It's a debate if you like 3 or 2 more. If you're a Halo fan, I like 3. A lot of people like 2, but those were made by Bungie.
Mhm.
Bungie now makes Destiny. They don't make Halo. So after 3, it's 343 Industries, which is a Microsoft studio specifically designed to make Halo. They don't make anything else. And since they took the reins, it's not good, really. But it's still them with this new one. But they've kind of taken into consideration that we kind of have to go back a little bit.
Mhm.
So what I've seen of it so far is it looks like Halo 3 elements with modern stuff. Because in Halo 3 you can't sprint, for example. That wasn't a thing then. But now in this new one you can sprint and slide and stuff.
You know, like in like middle school and stuff, my favorite thing was Halo Reach because
Halo Reach is great.
I forget what it's called, the mode where you can just like build stuff.
Forge.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's in 3 as well.
We would play that on Reach, but we'd always do that same, like, I think isn't it always the same map? Or no. There's like the map with the island in the middle.
He's like, we just always played the same map.
Like, and it's surrounded by water.
He's like, I had the
Island in the
demo.
middle.
Well, here's the thing. That mode, there was no
Forge-
playing it. It
yeah.
was basically, you could just build stuff. You could create like a new world.
Yeah, that's
So
pretty dope.
like,
yeah, so
Hell
Forge
yeah.
is Forge is like a sandbox for you
Yeah.
to create other maps or game modes in.
Okay, yeah. My
Which-
son loves Little Big World or Little Big Planet.
I love Little Big Planet.
Dude, I was getting so frustrated earlier because I was like, "What the fuck is this game about?" Like, I was
What
getting
is
mad
Mar-
at
what do you
him.
mean?
I was like, "What the? I don't know what this is."
He's like hitting his kid. God damn it! What is
He's
Little
like-
Big Planet
he
about?
He like all I've ever seen him do on it. I bought this game for him. All I've ever seen him do is he just like creates things and like builds
Oh,
things.
well, Little Big Planet is a
and I'm
platformer.
like, what the fuck? I'm like, what are you doing?
It's like Mario, but you can also create the levels too.
Yeah, so then he showed me some of the levels, and they were so fucking hard. I was like, I hate this. I was
It's
like,
dope,
this
though.
sucks. Like,
It's a
I was
good
getting
game.
pissed. I was like, put Fortnite on.
Dude,
Don't say that
with
in front of me
the way
ever
that
again.
We played Forge though.
I hate Fortnite.
It was like
You hate
Fortnite.
Fortnite? You
because
hate PUBG? What do you like?
PUBG's better than
What do you
Fortnite.
like? Halo?
Warzone, Halo, Mortal Kombat.
God damn it.
we would play Forge
God damn
on
it!
Reach like Fortnite, where we'd start at the island and like so anytime you die you just respawn automatically.
Yeah.
It was so
Infinite.
like there was no points, nothing really.
Yeah, you're
so
just
like,
fucking around.
Oh, okay. I was just
and you
saying,
could choose any weapon you wanted. You didn't have to like look. It just you picked whatever.
Yeah, Forge mode is literally like, I want a vehicle.
Yeah.
okay,
vehicle.
so like, yeah, that's
It's like Minecraft or creative
that's
mode.
what you
or-
would give like a
And
little
so,
kid.
Yeah.
If they're like
For
playing.
real,
Yeah.
for
What
real.
we would do is literally what basically. I mean, not it wasn't RPG whatever or like what do you call that? Like PUBG and
Well, it depends. Battle Royale or
yeah,
okay,
Battle Royale.
yeah.
So like what we would do though
Love that
is we'd
genre.
start on the island and 3-4 of us would just start building something off the island and there would always be a ramp up into the like all the way up into the sky until you hit the limit. We'd build like a little base or whatever and then we'd try to snipe each other and then after that it would devolve into like, hey, let's see how far we can hit each other from.
Yep.
It would turn into I'm gonna drive. We'd be like no vehicles, and then the next
Yeah.
goal was like let's get those like wraiths, I think,
Yeah,
or
the
the
tank-
small ones.
Oh, the ghosts.
Ghosts, yeah.
Yeah,
And
they're
we
like
would get on
hovercrafts.
those and just fly at each other and try to like run each other over.
Yeah,
Hell
that
It
that
was
shit's actually
so
hilarious
funny.
too because the shape of a ghost is like curved, so you
Yeah.
like hit like
Oh,
ramp.
okay. Wow.
But no, do you still play PUBG?
No, I haven't in a long
you do?
time.
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah.
Does it have crossplay? Like, can
Yeah,
Oh yeah, for
Okay.
sure.
That's
for
how
sure.
we- that's how we
I'm about to
play,
say
but-
that's how me and him get down.
Okay, I mean, I'll play
I've been
on
more
PC
on the
with you
Fortnite
guys.
lately, though.
Dude,
I made the switch. I used to be such a Fortnite hater, dude. I was like
I-
the biggest
I
one.
liked
I
it
swear.
at first.
I was like, I was like PUBG, dude, because it is. PUBG is way more realistic. Like
It
way,
is.
way more. Like it's.
but the
there's, like,
realism
there's-
isn't my problem with Fortnite. I don't like third person, no ADS.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, okay,
I don't
yeah.
like that.
Well,
on
you
top
can-
of the
there's
building,
ADS in PUBG.
there is. Yeah, I know. I'm saying in
Yeah.
Fortnite. That's what I
Okay,
like
yeah,
Fortnite.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, there is ADS, and you actually have the choice in PUBG.
Yeah.
You can do either one.
Right.
I don't like in Fortnite that you can zoom in with a sniper. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. But that's one of the things that I always made the argument. I still am. I'm not on the Call of Duty boat, but like
I do
feel
like Call of Duty. They have problems right now.
That's
but
another one where it's like I've played it a couple times and I feel like it's just so easy. Like I'm not gonna say it's so easy. Like I can't just win every time, but I'm saying like from a distance I can hit someone easier on Call of Duty than I could on PUBG.
It's because I thought you were gonna say in Fortnite. Fortnite is the same thing.
Yeah, Fortnite's the same
It's
thing.
super easy, but PUBG it's because they have bullet velocity drop and
That's what I'm saying.
and Call of
I
Duty
like
technically
that.
does, but not to the
Yeah, not to that
Dude,
extent.
Yeah.
that's the thing. Like, basically the only game I ever got super into was CS:GO, which I didn't realize
Wow.
that was that old of a game.
What's funny is I've never
But,
met
like-
anyone that
That played the
Oh,
CS.
Yes,
I would.
for
I mean,
real.
that's and when we were in school. That's all we did.
Now
Like,
you-
I would go
do you
home
know
and play
anyone that got
CS:GO.
caught up in like the gambling
stuff? No.
Oh, okay.
But like the funniest
Yeah.
thing with that is that was the first game I'd ever
We should
played.
gamble on
that
the next
has, like,
episode. Put your money up, boys.
Table that for just a second.
But like
Okay.
that was the first game I ever played that had that like you had to control the recoil and you had like
Oh, yeah.
you
Yeah,
had like
see, that shit-
different
I like that
patterns
shit
to learn.
sometimes.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, honestly, this is before I don't let me forget. I got one other thing to mention about video games too.
Okay.
I keep wanting to circle back to that. But one of the things I liked and made me make the switch to Fortnite is the load time is way better. Like you die in Fortnite, you can get back in another game within like a couple
Oh,
30 seconds, 45 seconds. PUBG,
Yeah.
you might be
War-
waiting like not even because there's not a match, but it just takes so long to
Yeah.
fucking load in and do all the shit.
Warzone is like that too, though.
It's like
Like,
10 minutes and I'm like, oh my God. Like, and you get, when you're, especially if you get down deep, like I do a lot of times on both games, like I'll be top 5 or whatever. And it's like,
Yeah.
you got that adrenaline going, you get fucking killed.
and
And
then
you're like,
waiting
fuck,
forever.
like you want to get back in and it's just such like a fucking, like, it just drains you to sit there and you're like steaming, like, fuck, just let me
Yeah.
back in. Like,
yeah, Warzone
I
is
hate that.
Warzone is like Fortnite in that way. Like you just drop right back in.
Yeah, you just get
If
right
you
back
ever-
in.
If you ever drop into Warzone, let me know. I'll play with you. Like I know that
Yeah.
you just openly say you don't like it that much, but I'd play that with
I
you.
got a cousin that's been begging me to play for ages, but
Yeah, I played
I'll
a
get
lot.
into it. But what I was gonna mention though is something maybe y'all don't know nothing about, but wrestling games.
I've played.
Oh my god!
So
my
I
entire
knew that was coming.
childhood.
so wrestling games.
By that point in wrestling games, I was like a little bit out of it. But
Well, I was gonna say with wrestling games, it's the only. I love wrestling games, and I only know wrestlers from wrestling games.
Yeah.
okay, well,
Yeah.
perfect, dude.
Yeah.
The best wrestling game
PS2.
ever,
Yeah.
in my
SmackDown.
opinion, is SmackDown. Here Comes the Pain with Brock Lesnar on the cover. It came out 2002 or 3. I can't
Okay.
remember, but
Here comes the pain.
dude, oh my
And
god!
like you could make like I don't
That
know
was,
about
like,
in
the
that
best-
one, but
best
like when you
roster.
character create and you
Yeah.
can like kind of sort of make your dude look like Goku and shit, kind
Yes,
of because
yes.
you can make
I
it.
used to do that all the
Yes,
time. That's
yes,
that game.
yes.
That is that
Dude,
game.
Yes.
I know this is kind of not on the video game lane, but when you just said Brock Lesnar, so I'm not a huge wrestling fan, but I'm a
Yeah.
huge fan of like MMA, UFC stuff, right? Dude, granted I wasn't watching it at the time when he was in the UFC,
Yeah.
but looking back on that stuff, every time I'd see him in there, I'm like, how is this possible?
Yeah.
Because like he's such a big dude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's big as fuck,
And,
but he's agile and shit.
Yeah. He would move like super quick for such a big guy. And I'm like, how is
I mean,
that
he was
possible?
like an NCAA Division One,
Yeah.
college champion and shit. And then obviously he got into WWE, WWF, whatever. No, I think it was already WWE by the time he came in, but they had just made that switch. Anyways, but he was very athletic, like for a big dude. There's a famous spot at WrestleMania 19. He tried to hit a moonsault, which is like standing on the top rope, like
Flip.
backflip. You know what I mean? Like facing your opponent backflip. And he fucked it up real bad. But and yeah,
I thought you were just gonna say the opposite.
no,
but
he fucked it up real bad and got concussed, and it fucked him
shit.
up like bad. But everyone said like he could hit that move. You know what I'm saying? For a
Yeah.
big dude, like that's why he tried
Well,
it.
I'm assuming he probably
You know,
like did it before.
yeah, oh yeah, he had
Showtime,
hit
you
it
know?
before and stuff.
Yeah,
So
just
like
choked a little bit,
but yeah, very athletic. Like one of his things when he was younger, I don't know if he still does it now. He hasn't been in wrestling for like a couple years now, like ever
Yeah,
since like
the
COVID
MMA
and
switch.
stuff. Like,
Yeah.
well, he came back after that.
Oh, he did?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
He was back for a while and like won the.
He's like,
won the
hey guys, I
championship
wasn't
and
that
shit.
good of an MMA fighter, so
He's like still
He
the
was
top.
the champ at one
Yeah,
point.
he's like the top draw in wrestling still. Like if he
Yeah.
was to come back right now, ratings would like go up because
Sure.
of him.
in,
You know what I mean?
either
But-
of them.
Could you
in
imagine-
UFC
Yeah,
or
in
WWE?
either, yeah.
could you imagine if The Rock came back for wrestling?
Can you Well, he is. He's about
what
to.
the
Are you serious?
Rock Yeah, he is.
cooking?
Yeah.
Whoa.
You scared Dave back
he's gonna
into
be back
being
to,
awake.
I don't know if you're familiar with Roman Reigns. You
No.
heard
Yeah,
that name?
yeah,
Okay,
he's,
well,
he's like the new star, kind
the,
of.
the Rock's family. I don't know if you.
I was
if
about
you
to say,
are
ain't they related?
hip. Yeah, they're related. Like The Rock has a lot of family in wrestling.
dad was.
Yokozuna, Peter Maivia was his grandfather. Rocky Johnson was his dad. They're related to. I don't know if you know the wrestler Umaga,
Jabronis.
the Wild Samoans.
What? Umaga related to them too?
Yeah, that
Man, that motherfucker used to be
Umaga.
crazy.
Umaga is Roman Reigns' brother, and he's dead now.
Oh,
Who?
damn.
Umaga is dead.
Oh.
Yeah.
It really sounds like.
Is Rikishi related to them?
Yes, Rikishi.
I know
also-
who Rikishi is from the
Rikishi is the
game.
Usos' dad.
Okay, all right, I got you.
They're all related. It's a huge wrestling family. Like anyone,
Okay.
almost anyone Samoan.
Yeah, anyone
wrestling
tan looking is
yeah.
probably related to The Rock. Is what
Which
you're saying.
Yeah.
funnily again,
Funnily,
there's a wrestler named Samoa Joe, and he is Samoan, but he's not.
he's not related.
Yeah.
to
He's
them.
not related.
Yeah, he's like the guy in ZZ Top that doesn't have a beard. His name Beard.
Right.
He's that. Yeah.
But my point being that Roman Reigns, anyway, right now he's like the champion. He's like a top dude in wrestling right now.
Okay.
And he has this whole gimmick thing going that he's like the head of the table. Like he's the king of the Samoan dynasty shit. Like this has been going on for a while now. So like
Okay.
it's leading up to
The Rock is gonna be like
The Rock is coming back to
yeah.
do his thing. Like I read a lot of the behind the scenes like nerdy shit that
Got you.
in my spare time. So like I kind of get the dirt ahead of time. But yeah,
Gotcha.
he's coming. But I was just trying to mention the wrestling games. I grew up on those. I love them. They're fucking great. And
As you know, I'm not a fan of wrestling, but I liked
Yeah,
the games
yeah.
as a
Yeah,
kid,
the games are
especially like
sweet.
PS1, PS2 time, and like doing Royal Rumbles and stuff. Like that was always cool.
yeah, I love that's one of my favorite
Yeah.
things. Hell in a Cell matches,
Yeah,
ladder matches, like
TLC.
TLC.
Yeah.
See, I mess with corny shit, man. I fuck with WWE All Stars.
Okay, I mean that's cool.
I don't
That's
know.
what
I don't know. If
It's
I
still
did.
like a regular wrestling game. Your special moves is just extravagant.
Yeah, I get down with that. They made
I don't know if I played that.
they made an old game for Super Nintendo called I think it was called WrestleMania the arcade game where it was like everything was real cartoony like that.
Oh, okay.
Like the Undertaker would like pull out a tombstone and like smack you over the head with it and fucking
Right.
Razor Ramon would like shoot razors out or like some shit. Like it was everything was
Yeah.
crazy. Bret Hart had like heart power.
I just saw a meme the other day that was
City
talking
had
about
heart
like
power.
one of the biggest lies of the 90s and early millennium is that Kane and Undertaker were brothers.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's like why?
Yeah.
Why?
I mean, a lot of us grew up thinking that, man.
No, I know, but I'm outside of it, so it's like
Yeah.
weird. But like, why does that help the branding?
As far as what do you mean? Like why?
Like
was
why?
that-
Why?
Why did they say they were?
Yeah.
Oh.
And I'm sure it wasn't them who writes that. But
To build the storyline, like it was. I mean, there's a lot to it to have to kind of explain, but to sum it up, like he was created as a character to come in and face the Undertaker because at the time Undertaker was like running on top of the
Okay.
business, and he had a longtime manager named Paul Bearer, which is funny. You know, get it, Paul Bearer. Anyways,
okay, got it.
Anyway, they had become estranged in the storyline and stuff, and Paul Bearer started alluding to the fact that the funeral home that the Undertaker grew up in had burned down when he was a little kid, and
Oh, and that's why
and
Kane
he had
has like red.
yeah,
and-
he had a brother that died in the fire, didn't die but got fucked up in the fire, and Kane is still alive and he's coming back to get his revenge on Undertaker, and Paul is the one that's bringing him in, and like that was the whole storyline. So then just for years they ran with it. It's called, they have a word for that. It's called kayfabe. Kayfabe, and that is keeping the illusion that wrestling is real.
Okay.
So in kayfabe, they say that this recently just died within like the last 10 years, mostly because of like the advent of like the internet. All the superstars are You know,
Okay.
you can find their personal Twitters and,
Okay.
and Instagrams.
So-
It's like the illusion is
Of
gone
the characters. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
but
So
like
they are
back-
themselves.
Yeah, but
now.
back at that time, it was like you lived the gimmick. So it's like,
Right.
you know,
like Sting and shit.
Yeah.
Like yeah.
yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like it's like you wouldn't see him without his face paint. You know
Right,
what I mean,
that's
or
what I'm saying,
something
yeah.
like it's. And nowadays you would, but
You know, and that like that's the biggest thing for me that like I never really got into the WWE much. Like again, I loved the video games, but for me it was always like and to be fair, any of the times that I'd watched it like live or whatever was just like it was the newer school stuff where that again that is gone. So like and it just was too like played out at like in the matches that I would watch, and I'm like I can't get into it, but like to grow up like in the storyline of it, that probably would have been dope.
Oh,
it's just
yeah.
like
When I
for
was a
me, I was
kid,
more
you had
like,
to catch it when you were young. you
Yeah.
know, and
When I was a kid, like everywhere I went was football and WWE.
Oh wow.
And I don't like either of those
Hated them
things.
both,
So I'm
yeah.
always like, I can't wait till we fucking get to put Sega on or something because this shit's lame
See,
as fuck.
hell
and
yeah.
for
Like-
me, it's like not to stay on a wrestling topic, but for me, it
Yeah.
evolved over time. I compare a lot of music things to wrestling all the time because like they are entertainers. They call themselves sports entertainers. Like,
right. That's what I was
you
gonna
know.
say. Not to interrupt you, but
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that's what I was gonna say is like I had to. So I once made a joke that like I was like I like I like UFC better than WWE because I like watching people actually beat the shit out of each other. And someone corrected me and they're like, "Wait, are you saying like you like watching people get the shit beaten out of them?" And I'm
Yeah.
like, "No, I'm saying like I like the fact that it's like."
It's not
This
scripted.
art
it's-
form that
Right.
like you know they've trained for many years,
Yeah.
and they were like, well, WWE people do it too. It's just
Yeah.
that it's a performance.
It's a
not,
different
and I'm
art
like,
form,
okay,
yeah.
I get it. Like
it's still a physical
it's an
performance.
entertainment
It
thing.
is.
Oh yeah,
And that's what I was leading into was like I grew up. I caught it when I was like 6 or 7 years old when I first started watching wrestling, and at that time I couldn't differentiate real fighting from fake fighting. You know, like I thought for real they're fucking each other up. Like
Yeah.
so I'm into it. Like I'm thinking this is legit violence I'm watching. But as I grow older and you know just learn, like I'm like, oh okay, this is fake or whatever,
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it. I don't like to use the word fake because what I was leading into is now I have a new appreciation for it. Like you said, it's an art form, but also there's parts to it that aren't fake. You know what I mean? Like if you jumping off a fucking 10-foot ladder and crashing into someone, whether they're on the floor or on a mat or whatever, like that's still I wouldn't want to fucking do that.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't
Right.
either, but it's kind of like I understand what you say when you're saying not fake, but it
Yeah, yeah.
literally is like magicians,
Right.
meaning
right.
that like it is fake, but there is still
a physical.
Yeah,
like,
yes,
And
yeah.
a lot of times that's what's kind of lame about newer wrestling too is it's extremely like downplayed and like
yeah.
kidified.
I'm not
you
gonna
know,
lie.
but,
For me, I always felt like wrestling is like soap operas for like
Yeah.
testosterone filled dudes.
Yeah.
it kind of was like I guess
like the acting
I mean-
quality and everything. That's how I always felt. I'm like, I'm not hating on it. I'm just saying that's what
Well,
it.
that's
what I always
that's what I
thought.
meant too. With like when I watched it, it was the new stuff. So it was
Yeah.
like I forget what they would call it, but it was like they'd have the like there was a briefcase in the air, and then they'd
Yeah.
like try to get up.
Money
to
in
Yeah,
the
it,
bank,
money.
pull it, and
Yeah,
then-
yeah.
So
Yeah.
like that, the one that I watched, the part that turned me off to it was like they're all like beating each other, and then like one guy is left, and all the other guys are like outside the ring,
Right.
like falling down.
and those matches
then
are very
the guy
much like
is
that.
like climbing up the ladder like 1 foot at a time, like
Yeah,
as
yeah.
slow as
I'm
humanly
going
possible. And I'm
I'm
like,
gonna
I
get the
Right,
money
trying to
takes me
now.
out of it,
trying
like,
to
I
build the
can't.
suspense and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But then they get like
But-
right up to the top and they're about to reach it, and someone yanks them off. And I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and that's just like art form. They're not
Yeah.
good. They're not good at what they're doing. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
because that's the thing. It's suspension of disbelief. That's what they say all the time.
Right.
Like, and that's what I like too. Is even nowadays when I watch wrestling, knowing it's fake, if they can get me to be like, oh, like if I'm like, oh shit, like did he?
Is he actually hurt?
I'm like, if did he fuck that move up? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like, so that's what I like.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's what I look for and shit. But
When I was a kid, where they like grab the hair of the other person and then they smack the inside of their arm,
yeah,
and the
they-
other guy's like, oh.
if you know what to look for, you know, like you can hear, like they hit the super kick all the time, but that's like a big thing in wrestling now is like guys are real obvious with the leg slap. They'll slap their leg when they kick a guy in the chin. And
Oh,
it makes
okay.
that just, psh,
I was like, I
that-
didn't know what that meant, but
that
okay,
like
yeah.
pop sound. It makes it sound like they kick their fucking jaw off, but it's like they're slapping their leg. But like Shawn Michaels used to do that for years, like back in the 80s and 90s and shit.
Yeah.
You would never see the leg slap. He just knew how to hide it on TV and shit. Like
Yeah.
he knew how to hit it where you never saw it. It's like nowadays you see a dude like reach all the way up and like smack himself on the ass. And he's kicking the dude.
Smack himself on the ass.
And it's like, bro, like, come on now.
You guys hear that chin? Like, no, we see that red hand on your ass cheek, though.
Right, but I liked older wrestling when it was like a lot more like hardcore, and I will say like some of that shit was like for real, like
like the Mick Foley.
I was just about to say
Yeah.
Mick Foley. I just brought that belt over here and showed you guys the other day or a couple weeks ago. I bought a belt signed by him.
Mankind.
The Sacco,
But he, I think it was Royal Rumble '98. He like had famously taken like 20 some or something chair shots from The Rock, like unprotected with his hands handcuffed behind his back, and they made
smart.
like they were filming a documentary around that time and shit. So there was like a lot of behind the scenes footage of him getting like staples and stitches in his head and saying, you know, that The Rock kind of took liberties doing that shit, but.
Oh,
You know, so yeah, like it's
Okay.
He kind of fucked him up, Rock. What the fuck, dude?
the Rock's like, I'm gonna be a movie star.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be a movie star. Like,
Or like when he
hitting this dude.
famously got thrown off the cell or through the cell, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like crashed through the table and shit. Like that's one person that
he's-
took a lot of real.
Yeah, he's crazy enough to
punishment.
like. I knew his name.
Yeah, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
that's-
there's some guys that did some fucked up shit. Jeff Hardy would jump off of ladders through
Yeah.
tables and shit. And
It's
whether
a-
they're gimmicked or not, it's like
You're still
still
performing.
jumping off a fucking ladder and going through
Right,
somebody.
yeah.
Yeah.
Your bodies are connecting and it's gotta hurt some kind of way.
Mhm.
Like,
Sure.
So-
At that line, you're almost falling into like trapeze swingers or something.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's like it's
So-
dangerous. Like
So that's what I appreciate about it. But I'll say this: I'm sure we're probably approaching the time to
Yeah.
close this up. So to circle back around before we start talking about video games and wrestling and all that, I was saying, you know, I wanted to share some knowledge with young up and coming artists or something, you know, something they didn't know. Is there anything, just a quick tip or anything like that either of you, all of you can think of? You know, just to tell a young person like, hey, you know, like, okay, I'll start with one. Fiverr. I didn't know anything
you're
about
saying
that.
like actual usable.
Yeah, like a usable thing. Like it doesn't have to be a site, but something
I know what
maybe
you mean,
you know
yeah.
that they didn't know about. There's a site called Fiverr, and ATG just got me hip to it recently. If you'd have asked me 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, I wouldn't have had no idea that
Yeah.
you can go on this site and you can pay. I just used it today. You could pay an artist to design you, you know, a logo, a T-shirt design, whatever you want. There's all kinds of different artists, different price ranges on there.
Yep.
Different things. So,
And
you
there's
know,
there's even like musicians who do like vocal packs and hooks and stuff on there. There's all kinds of stuff
Oh,
on
okay.
there.
See, I didn't even know that. So
You
it's
know,
like
and,
that's cool.
Yeah.
One thing I would say too is like, especially coming up now, the internet is your best resource
Mhm.
because
100%, yeah.
I mean, I know both of us went to college and got a degree in this stuff, but
We
like
did, yeah.
we could have. Granted, I'm not saying that like going to a university and doing all that is the same as just watching YouTube videos, but there's a lot of good information out there on like the production side or the recording side or whatever that like could really benefit you. And like a lot of it now, I you know, after going there and whatever, and then I find stuff and I'm like, oh, this is like, yeah, this is the same things that I've been taught or you know,
Yeah.
whatever. We just paid money for it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So like if you're trying to do everything like yourself, especially, it's always worth like, you know, find people that are reputable, but like definitely like check out different like on anything, even if it's just, you know, how to shoot a music video on your
Yeah.
phone, how to
Yeah,
record a
yeah.
song, what DAW you should use, you know.
Yeah.
There's so much info out there that you don't have to like pay a ton of money to go,
Yeah,
you know.
Right.
that's actually the biggest thing that I would say as advice is whatever the thing is that you want to do, whether it's start a business, become a music artist, you know, crochet, whatever you want to do,
Crotchet.
anything that you want to do that you feel like you can't do, just know that everyone that masters that has started in the same place.
Mhm.
So like just start doing it.
Right. Yeah.
Like-
Everybody starts somewhere.
And what's great to like tag onto the internet thing is like now you don't have to find someone who can tell you how to do it.
Mhm.
You just Google it. And I mean
Yeah.
technically you are still finding someone, but I'm saying you don't have to physically go out
Yeah.
Yeah.
and find somebody. They're there. You just Google it.
Yeah. Basically, the info is out there.
and-
Yeah.
Yeah.
To kind of tag that too, like the more that you, like you said, you know, the people that have mastered that skill or whatever,
Yeah.
they started exactly where you are.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
I find myself every day where each time I open Pro Tools and start a mix or whatever, every day I'm like finding something new that I didn't know, even like that I didn't even get taught in school or I
Yeah,
didn't
sure.
understand
Yeah.
it at
All the
that
time.
point. and it just keeps getting better and better. And like repetition is key for all.
Yeah,
of it.
you got to really just do it. And that's one thing. I'll say this. I went to school for basically like the same thing you guys went to school for, but I went to a local community college here at Stark State or whatever. So that's another tip I would tell young people is if you're thinking about doing that, maybe I'm not saying don't do it, but just consider where you're going and what kind of education you're getting, because I was only a few credits away. I think I was like 6 credits away from graduating or getting my degree in that. And one of the things that convinced me like just to kind of drop out, and now I owe money and have no degree, was the fact that I've known ATG since before he ever went there or anything, and he knew way more than I ever even learned. And I was like thinking to myself, like, how am I just a few credits away from getting this degree, and I don't even know half the stuff that this dude knows just from teaching himself. Yeah. So, just make sure you're getting a quality education if you're going to pay to go somewhere. Like
the thing that I think that we both learned firsthand is even when you go to a big school and stuff, if you're not super focused, it's not going to work anyway. So like I actually recommend it, even if you do want to go to a higher education kind of thing. I fully support people doing that, but at least 1 year, just take and just teach yourself stuff.
Right.
Because you'll learn enough to be like, yes, I want to go.
Yeah, you'll learn more being hands-on.
Yeah, and then you'll know too, like when you get into the higher education and everyone around you is like, how do I open this file? And you're like, bloop, bloop. Yeah. You're just there to learn the more intricate technical stuff that you might not be able to learn from YouTube.
Hey, well, listen, we gotta wake Dave back up here. So I'm gonna say this. Dave, give us one good tip for the young artists out there, and then send us home, man.
I will say, you have to have, you gotta have a solid audience as like a tester.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You gotta make sure that the people around you are honest and they gonna tell you the truth about your music.
Yeah.
Because if you are creating a lot of content, you know what I'm saying, and they're just telling you, oh yeah, this is good, but it's not really good, or it could be better, or it could be different to make it, you know what I'm saying, better for you. That's not good.
Yeah, there's no growth in that. You gotta
find the balance between a yes man and a negative Nancy, though.
Yes. That's
you got to
truth.
take everything constructive, whether they agree or disagree with you. Learn from why that is.
Right, like here with us, you know what I'm saying. Like we don't do that. We don't be yes manning up in here. But at the same time, if something happening that ain't supposed to be happening, we gonna speak up.
Yeah, exactly. So
you know what I'm saying? Yeah, man. So I like that shit. But anyways. Thank y'all for tuning in to the podcast. You know what I'm saying? We love each and every one of you guys. Thank you again.
Yep.
Yeah.
See ya
later.